Welcome to Highline Excel 2013 class video number 30. Hey, if you want to download this workbook for week 5, click on the link below the video or go to our class website. Hey, we got to talk about custom number formatting and text functions. Now we're going to scroll over here. We're going to talk about custom number formatting first. Now, number formatting is a facade. We know dates. If we go up and apply general, we get to see what's underneath. We just wiped away that number formatting. Now I'm going to use Control 1 and open up the Format Cells dialog box. On the Number tab, bunch of built-in number formattings: number, currency, accounting, date, time, percentage, fraction, scientific text, and special. We're going to be working down here under Custom. Now notice, General. The word general is actually in the type text box, and that word means apply general. This type text box is where you come to do custom number formatting. Oh, so important, our sample. You can see clearly that that's a serial number. Now we want to explore date custom number formatting first because this is the easiest to learn. If I type an M, well, okay, that's the 11th month. We can see, well, it's 11/7/2013. It's the 11th month. If we were to type a second M, if it was 7, it would show 07. Now, comma, if I type a D, it shows a 7. If I type another D, that tells custom number formatting, hey, show a lead 0. Another slash, 1Y shows 2 years, so does 2. 3 shows 4. Let's backspace through this and have a little fun here. What if I, instead of just typing 2 M's, typed 3 M's? Oh, look at that, the 3-letter abbreviation for month. And if I type 4 M's, boom, the whole word for the month. And notice, that's number formatting. So that word really isn't in the cell. That serial number is still there. Now I'm going to backspace. M/D/YYYY. 4 Y's does the same as 3. So I'm going to leave that one there, and let's go Control 1 on the next date, come down to Custom, and just have a little fun. How about D? And there it is, Thursday. That text is not really in the cell. It's just on the surface. In fact, you can see up in the formula bar, there's our date. But underneath is still that serial number. If you want to do calculations, absolutely you can. It'll work off the serial number. Control 1. Let's go down to Custom. Sometimes you want the full D. That shows the day, comma, space, MMM. We'll do 3-letter abbreviation, comma, space D, comma, space YYY. So there we have Thursday, November 7th, 2013. That serial number is still there. If I were to say this plus 2, better give me Saturday. Notice it sucked that number formatting there. That is totally cool. Now time. Time is similar. Control 1. Under Custom, H means hour, M means minutes, separated by a colon. S means second. And if you want it to show AM or PM, you put an AM/PM. I'm going to accept that one and click OK. Let's go down and change this. I want to see military time. Control 1. I can come up here and just backspace and get rid of the AM/PM. And I want to show a lead 0. So hour. There you go. Click OK. So now if I change this to 15:00, enter. I've done military time, and you can look up in the formula bar and see it's really 3 p.m. We can also show with square brackets hours bigger than 24 hours. So if I try to type 36:00, it's showing up as 12 p.m. and if you look up in the formula bar, it's showing as 1/1/1900, 12 p.m. That means 36 hours is 1.5 days, so it stores it as day number 1 in Excel history plus half a day. We want to show it as 36, so we Control 1, remove the AM/PM, and put a square bracket around the H. There we go. There's our sample, and click OK. Now we want to talk about the difference between the pound sign, which is a digit placeholder that displays significant digits only, and the 0. That's a placeholder that displays significant and insignificant. That's why if we have 1250, significant would show only the 5. Significant and insignificant, including zeros, would show 5, 0. So let's try that here. Control 1, come down to custom, the pound sign, pound, period, pound, pound. Those are placeholders. I click OK. Well, of course, it's going to show that here, but if I type 4.1, it does not show me that 0. Whereas here, if I use zeros, Control 1, custom, down and type 0.00, Control Enter, 1.35. But if I change it to 1.4, it shows me that extra 0. So that insignificant, it just means I didn't type something in that position there, but it'll show me a 0. Control 1, if we were to 0.0, we can see our sample there. That's decreased decimal. So anytime you use the increase and decrease, in fact, let's increase it and watch what happens underneath to our custom number formatting. Control 1, custom, and there's a bunch of zeros. So that's what's happening when you do increase and decrease. Let's say I wanted to keep it just there and show only one decimal. That 1.35 is still in the cell. Next, we want to talk about thousands and millions and commas. Pound, comma, pound, pound, pound. That will show commas every 3 zeros. Control 1, custom, highlight, pound, comma, and 3 pounds. We can see our sample up here emerge. And since I want to see some 0.00, there we go. We type 1000, it shows me just 1 comma. 1 billion, it'll show me commas every 3 zeros. Now sometimes you want to show a million as 1,000, meaning you want to show it in thousands. Control 1, custom, and we can come down to our type dialog box, pound, comma, pound, 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 because I still want to see commas. But watch this, extra commas at the end, hack off 3 zeros. So this will show me the number in thousands. Here, if we have 2 of those commas at the end, it will show it in millions. Pound, comma, 3 pounds, comma, and watch the sample, comma, and there we go. Now that one's kind of silly, so sometimes you want to show an M, and that's how you do it. You can put it in double quotes. Control 1, custom, and in the type, and then double quote, space, M, double quote. I don't want the M immediately touching. If you did, you just not put that space in, click OK. So there we see the 1. If I type a billion, so there we have 1,000 million. Sometimes you want to show thousands, and there's a special character K, which you do not have to put in double quotes. So here we're going to try Control 1, custom, and then I can put a K. That is so cool. What's so cool about the K is it's great for charts. Now sometimes you do not want to even see that comma, so there's a much shorter one. If I have 1,000 right here, or a million, and I want to show it in thousands with a K, Control 1, and in the type, just pound, and then the comma says hack off 3 zeros, K. That is a great custom number formatting for chart, either on the horizontal or vertical or legend. Click OK. Just like that, 1,000K. All right, now let's scroll down here. We want to look at percentage. Control 1, custom, 0.00. Right now, it's just showing regular numbers and decimals. As soon as you type that percentage symbol, boom, that's what says slide the decimal and add the percentage symbol. Click OK. So that's 35.75. And of course, when we start decreasing decimals, it's not going to change the number underneath. It'll just display something different. So 0.0%. That 0.75 is still under the number formatting. We can see it up here in the formula bar. Now fractions. Sometimes you want to show fractions. I'm going to enter the number as a formula equals 13 divided by 5. And I want it to show up as 13 divided by 5. So I come down here and you do that with question marks and a / So there you go. This says show 2 digits, both in the numerator and the denominator. If you show just one, it still has that unrounded number underneath. And the thing is, 13/15 is not the same as 7/8. If you were to come over here and test it, equals 13 divided by 15 equals 7 divided by 8. Those are not the same number. So the same number looks different. So even with the fraction number formatting, we can have a complete disconnect between what we see on top and what's underneath. Another great trick is similar to the M up here. Sometimes you have a price and you don't want to put a label at the top. You want to see actual label in the cell with the number, but not really in the cell. So Control 1, Custom. And in the type, I'm going to type $0.00, and text goes in double quotes. Double quote, space. Unit price in double quote. Look at that. That is so cool. Click OK. So I can still see the number up in the formula bar, but on top I see 1567. Couple more examples. You can use the backslash to insert a single character without double quotes. Control 1, $0.00 backslash, and then U. So that'll always show that U. It inserts. You can do it in the middle too, and we'll see an example of that later. 15.67U. Now there's 4 sections separated by 3 semicolons. Oh, wait a second. The 4 zones, I have this incorrect here. It actually starts with positive, then you tell the custom number format separated by semicolons what to do for negative, and then what to do for 0, and then semicolon text. So let's go look at an example here. Control 1, custom. So the first zone is positive. I'm going to type $0.00. Then we type a semicolon. The second zone is, hey, tell me what you want the number to look like if it's negative. So I'm going to say minus $0.00. And then in square brackets, you can type color names. Red, and then close square bracket. That means if it's negative, it'll show up red. Then semicolon, here's how we want to look if it's 0. I'm going to put double quotes, space, dash, space, end double quotes. That's how accounting shows a dash. Now the accounting number format's a little bit more tricky than that, but we'll leave it at that. Semicolon, that would get us to text, but I'm not going to enter anything for text. Just 1, 2, 3, positive, negative, 0. Click OK. Oh, look, up in the formula bar I can see the 0, but there's the little dash. If I type 12, $, and 2 decimals, minus 56 shows up red and with a minus sign. Now let's show how to hide words. Control 1, custom. So I have positive and negative, and then I'm semicolon. I'm going to put a 0 just for 0, and then semicolon, and watch this. If I don't put anything there, it will not show text. Click OK. And now, so if I type minus 2, if I type a 0, but if I type a word, it doesn't show up. But guess what? It's still up there. Now that should be a pretty cool hint. That's the custom number format for nothing. Control 1, custom. and up in the type, semicolon, semicolon, semicolon. Notice there's 3 semicolons, 4 sections. None of them have anything. That means no matter what you put in the cell, it's going to show nothing. So I could see the 5. I could see the -3. I can see the 0. I can even see the text. But I can't really see it because of number formatting, the facade on top. So that's something when the mean person in the cubicle next to you goes over to the other person and sabotages their computer with this custom number format, you'll come to their rescue and you'll say, aha, I can help you. It's just a bunch of semicolons. All right, so custom number formatting. Let's go over to the next sheet, text formulas. And we want to see some of this custom number formatting in formulas. All right, so here's the 25 bucks. That's the price per unit. Here are the units, and the sales equals one cell to my left times absolute cell reference F4, Control Enter, double click and send it down. I do not like to have numbers sitting up here without labels. Sometimes you're constrained in your spreadsheet. You don't have enough space. So you don't have an extra cell before to the right to put a label. No problem. Control 1. We can come down to custom. $0.00, double quote, space. How about per unit? Click OK. That is beautiful. If I change it to 35, it still has the number and a label. And down here, the formula updates. Other examples. So I clicked in cell B13, and I want to make a label based on this date. I want to say the due date is 12/15/2010 equals. So I put the due date is, including a space at the end, ampersand, and I click on that date. But guess what? Formulas don't see number formatting. It is looking underneath at that serial number. This means we better have a way to format numbers from other cells in formulas. No problem. The text function comes to our rescue. You put a value, and then you got to know custom number formatting. And it's got to be in double quotes. So I'm going to say mm/dd/YYY. That custom number format has to be in double quotes. Control Enter. And what's so beautiful about that, actually, let me add a semicolon. So once you enter it, you can see whether it looks good or not. So if I change the date, instantly that label updates. The same thing is for percentages. Sometimes we have formulas like that is going to be the number underneath. We could multiply by 100 and add a percentage symbol, but you could also just use the text formula. And then 0.00 percentage, that's the custom number formatting. Control Enter. That is beautiful. If I change this to 35, instantly it updates. Wow, the rate is 35. That's not right. Boy, that would be terrible. Interest rate like that. We could do it for time. And double quote, close parentheses. Notice I misspelled that word. If I were to highlight these 2 cells and hit F7, it says nothing spelled wrong. When you're making text formulas, you got to spell check in edit mode. F7, appointment. Oh, wow. So there it is. Your appointment time is 2 p.m. If I change this to 8 a.m., boom. All of these are examples of text formulas where we have to use the text function in custom number formatting. Now, here are some of the text functions that we've already learned about. Here are some new text functions. Let's see some examples. Now, some of what we do here, I think all of it, can be done with flash fill. We saw last video, flash fill is awesome for one-time deals. But if you have some template where you're dumping names, a grade sheet, a schedule sheet, and you always want to extract the last and the first, then formulas come in handy. All right, so just like with flash fill, you got to recognize a pattern. First name means we're going to have to find a space. We can't just do left 4 because it'll work only there, or only on Cody, but not on Matt. So no problem. We're going to use the left because we want to take text from the left. And now we got to use for number of characters. Well, it's changing each time. based on a space. So we use the search function. Specifically built, find what text in double quotes a single space within, and it looks through a text string and finds whatever text is in there and tells you the position. Close parentheses. But that's 4. In fact, let's make a mistake. Close parentheses. What I like to do when I'm doing these type of formulas to double and triple check is I use the len. The len tells me the length. And at least for the first one, I want it to help me. When I see 5 and I know Neil is only 4, I know there's some problem. I could run Formula Evaluator, Alt-MV, enter, enter, search 5. So it's the search that's given me the trouble. I really want 4, so I click Escape. F2, I have to subtract 1. Control Enter, double click and send it down. Now I'm going to double click and send this down. And that's new. That kind of thing did not happen in 2010 or 7 or 3. That's new in 2013. It's supposed to be looking over far enough and realizing that we have some sort of data set here. But there we go. Now I can see and count my formulas looking good. Now, just last, there's a few ways we could do this. By the way, this is supposed to say just first. And this is supposed to say just last. I'm going to assume just for now that we don't have this. In a second, I'm going to come back and show you maybe there's a different formula we can use if we've already extracted the first one. All right, so here I'm actually going to use the replace function. The replace, you give it the old text, comma, and the start number. So what I want to replace is Neil, and I want to replace it with nothing. So my starting position for replacing is character 1. And then I want to go a certain number of characters. Well, for first, I just look for the space. That's 5. Search, find text in double quotes a space within that right there. So right now, replace with the search is going to say go from 1 all the way to 5. Comma, and the new text, double quote with nothing in between it. That's nothing. It's a null text string. But here in this formula, it'll just put nothing there. The first word and space will be replaced with nothing. Double click and send it down. Now let's just see if we could. I'm going to right click and point to my format painter and then click right here. Now I'm going to, just for the time being, scoot this column way in so it's small because I want to see this here. Copy, just last. And I'm going to undo that in just a second. I'm going to scoot this up here. I know that's all bunched up there. But just so we have this on the screen. Now, if you have the name here already, I can use a function different than replace. I can use substitute. Now, whereas replace went from a certain position and then a number of characters, substitute, you say, hey, find this text and replace it with something else. So the text we're looking at, there's the whole thing, comma. What do I want to find and replace, meaning the old text, Neil, and double quote space, double quote, because I want to find in this Neil and that space. And what's the new text? Nothing. Double quote, double quote. Close parentheses. Control Enter. Double click and send it down. All right, so we did that. Now I'm going to and scoot this over here. For this data set, one last formula. Sometimes you're always getting employee names dumped, and you would like to create email addresses. So we could have all sorts of conventions, but let's just say our convention is first letter of the first name and last name, all lowercase, and then the @ symbol, and that's the name of our business website address. All right, so you ready? We want to create email addresses. Well, we'll do left, comma 1, And I'm going to cheat. I'm going to come over here and just copy this in edit mode. Copy. And join it. Control V. So I'm from these two names getting the first letter and the last name. And I want it all lowercase. So luckily there's the lower. The lower. It simply converts all letters to lowercase. Double click and send it down. And now I need to join the @ symbol, F2. So at the end, I know this formula is looking huge now, but if you build it piece by piece, it's less tricky. Join, and I need an @ in double quotes. And I'm going to join that to our business website address, and F4. Look at that. That is amazing. From a bunch of names, we've created all of our email addresses. So every month we get 30 new people. Instead of typing it all out, we have a formula that automatically creates it for us. Now let's scroll down here. And I want to see if we can do this with flash fill. Because again, the idea behind formulas is, hey, this is a regular thing. I want to build it once, and even though it's a hard formula, I build it once, and it's there. Every time I dump the names, I get my email addresses. But now, what if it's a one-time deal? Or maybe I just want to do it this way every time. All right, so first we need the first letter. So we're trying to give flash fill an example. And then Lieber. And now we're inserting. So far we told flash fill first character of the first word, the whole second word, all lowercase, then an @ symbol, and then mdb.com. If I Control E, that's not going to work. But I bet you anything if I give it two examples. Enter, Control E. That is amazing. That's a lot easier than that formula up there. But each do have their place, flash fill and formulas. Now what if you are totally annoyed by all of this, these hyperlinks here? One trick is you want to know that if you click on it, it tries to open the link or the email. If you see your selection cursor at the end, you can click and drag. And now I'm going to say right click, remove hyperlinks with an S. That's much better. All right, and one or two last tricks here. Yeah, just one last formula trick. Here's a situation where we have times, and it's kind of like those dates we got for flash fill. That lead 0 gives us trouble sometime. And here is an amazing formula I once learned from Barry Houdini. He's one of the smartest Excel guys in the world. And it involves the text function. We take this, which, hey, by the way, it's aligned to the left, so we're already suspect like it's text or something. And in fact, it is. The only way you get lead zeros is doing something with text. But so I'm going to take that and format it. If we take a 0 and then a colon 0, 0, this is not going to work because that colon is reserved for minutes and hours, H, M, and S for seconds. So we get a value error. But you're not going to believe this. If I use the backslash, it says insert a colon. And no way. That works. It tricks with custom number formatting. Now if I double click and send that down, it works. But notice, what are they? They're text aligned to the left. The text function, as well as left and right and mid and many of these other text functions, hey, they're delivering text. And I need a number. So any math operation on number stored as text converts it back to a number. So we could times 1, divide by 1, exponent 1, double negative at the beginning of the text, or we could simply add 0. Control Enter. That gives me the decimal. Control 1. I now format it as time. Click OK. But this is a cool little trick using custom number formatting and that backslash. One last example. Let's see if we could do this with flash fill. So I'm going to try 6:45, enter, Control E. I already know I'm going to get the wrong thing. It's similar to what we did earlier with dates. We want to pick our example carefully. And I'm going to pick this one because I see that it's got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can tell it 15:20. The 15 says get everything, the first two characters, the colon, that's inserting in terms of our flash fill. And then 20, that's get the last two. Control Enter, Control E. You got to be kidding. Look at that. So that one's certainly a lot easier than this formula right here. All right, we saw a lot about custom number formatting and text formulas. We'll see you next video.